I woke up feeling really drugged. I sound drugged, and yesterday I spoke with Peter Smith, the naturopath from the UK. It was a really long call on Skype, and he's going to write me up a bunch of recommendations. And yesterday I got a shipment of vitamins, the one I ordered before I learned about Peter Smith. And one of the things I got in there was coenzyme Q10. So I took one of those yesterday. And then this morning I took two, I think they're 600 milligrams of NAC, or N-acetylcysteine. And I also had some glycine, which is one of the amino acids he talks about. And I also had some L-theanine, which is mentioned in some of that stuff about the neurotransmitters too. So I took one theanine, a glycine, and two NAC. And I took them on an empty stomach. And then I was driving, and I was feeling really tired, like I can't keep my eyes open, and I'm sometimes tired in the morning after taking lithium and trazodone and Seroquel at night, but not that tired. I was sort of trying to keep my eyes open while driving. And then partway through the drive, all of a sudden it felt like something had lifted, because I've been feeling a lot of anger lately and frustration, and I don't enjoy that feeling, but it seems like it's there and it's difficult to make it go away. But it felt like for all of a sudden it kind of lifted and went away, and I was like, oh, I just feel slightly better, even though I feel slightly drugged. So I'm going to go through and write down a little summary page for myself of what affects what amino acids or neurotransmitters, what amino acids do. And he also talked about total darkness sleeping and blue blocker glasses. I have some orange sunglasses. I don't know if they're blue blockers. They seem like they are. And he talked about blue light therapy, which is getting a bright blue light in the morning for the morning time. And I was trying to look those up, but yeah, I couldn't find one that he was talking about. So that'll be a bit of money. And then he talked about a lot, and so there's the blue light therapy in the morning, avoiding the blue light at night with the blue blocker glasses, sleeping in total darkness, which could be a little challenging because I'm not settled wherever the heck I'm going to settle, but I could still try to do it. And yeah, but the main thing is I took a few different amino acids this morning, and they are having an effect. Because the first thing he said that I need to learn is how to bring myself down, which seems strange because I'm already down right now. But by playing around to see with like what dose of what amino acids will bring me down, and there are certain ones to try. It's not a haphazard trying it out. It's how much does a certain dosage of this one, like glycine, or that one, calm me down? Because certain ones affect the neurotransmitter GABA, certain ones affect dopamine, others serotonin, others glutamate. So based on what I read from his website and speaking with him, I think definitely glutamate amps up in me at some point. And then I think a lot of what he talks about goes along with some of the hypotheses that I've made up along the way, like the brain growth theory. And then it seems like my brain does grow through mania or just more energetic processes, and then it hits a point where it can no longer grow anymore and it actually dies. And then that's something I've said to myself recently, is the brain state is mirrored in our behavior. So in a brain state of high energy and mania, one is taking risks, or one is really curious, or one is learning, or one is behaving in different ways that are high energy, maybe more social, talking faster, blah blah blah. So then what I feel like what happened recently was I felt like I was going to kill myself. It's like that's mirrored in my brain is literally dying, or it's not growing. And a lot of what grew as my brain to be that high energy self, curious, learning, creating, it literally just died away. And I'm feeling it. I feel very sluggish and very slow, and especially today after taking those amino acids. But that's part of the experiment with this, is learning, okay, which combination do I need to take? And I just took threonine, NAC, and glycine, and I'm feeling like, ugh. So hey, maybe that's a good combo. Or I have to write down what creates what amino acids to sort of learn to navigate this. But it gives me a bit of hope, because those little bits of neurotransmitters or amino acids did do something. And I'm on Seroquel and things, but if I can feel more calm during the day, maybe this will help me stop taking the Seroquel, because usually or often I can stop taking it within a week to 10 to 14 days. And I've been taking it, I think, for a month. So that's a long time. But the cool thing is, it's obvious that the brain can grow back, the manic parts of the brain, and it seems like that's part of brain growth. And so after I figure out these sedating ones that he's going to help me to learn to navigate, then I'll be able to learn which ones to take to get into a bit of a higher state. I think I already know from his website, and I could maybe buy those to have to see, because I'll likely be a quick learner, because I've already experimented with using alternatives in terms of the micronutrients. And yeah, if these amino acids could help me get rid of this anger that I'm feeling that is not helpful, that would be great. But on another note, if one looks at Dr. David Hawkins' scale of consciousness, I think anger is the level of consciousness right below 200. And anger is more powerful than the other states below, like despair, shame, apathy, things like that. It's still below the level of 200, but the level of 200 is courage. So I do feel like I do have some of that courage, because I'm trying to go on with this, but there's still anger there. It's a mixed state of anger and some courage. So, then it goes to willingness, then it goes to reason, then it goes to love, then it goes to joy. So I was probably at joy at some points in California for sure. And that's what I think about with this bipolar, is it's going up and down the scale of consciousness. And so now, if these amino acids could help, that'd be great. And I don't know if I said, but just taking these few that I had already and having a little bit of an effect gives me some hope that maybe I will be able to navigate with these amino acids. And I need to change my attitude from that of being, this is going to work forever, yay, I'm transcending and blah blah blah, to how is it today? And if I can get some good days together, what do I want to do next with my life if it's not yakking about transcending and things like that, and all the spiritual stuff. I think that world is there, but at the same time, also if that world and talking about it is used to separate this group from that group of people, I don't think that is wise, because then one is going off into one's own monologue world. And I think that's kind of what happens in so-called mania, and then the brain eventually has to die back and be like, no, wait a minute, you're a shameful, guilty person who does crappy things and is mean and has anger and all these things inside, just like any other human being. And it would be lovely if we could all transcend those lower states of consciousness, but who knows when that'll be happening. And then I feel I'm in those other states that are really not fun, and they're not really congruent with reality, in that I have food, I have shelter, I'm not gonna shrivel up and die. So I'm not saying that's enough in life per se, but to feel all this stuff, I'm just saying it's not congruent. That misery isn't congruent with my reality, but maybe in contrast to the way it feels in mania and the way one feels the world could operate, it is miserable suffering. And there is some miserable suffering for sure. But I'm wondering how to get through these next levels of consciousness. And it's just kind of strange because I don't know what the next thing will be. It feels like everything I was creating was erased because I was creating this story of transcending through micronutrients. I'm still going to take some micronutrients. I'll probably take 2 to 4 a day because I have a bunch of them and they do have a lot of good stuff in them. But I do need to learn a new approach, because that approach didn't keep me out of crisis, but again, I didn't create a lifestyle that might keep me out of crisis, and maybe there's no such thing. So I need to stop thinking that I'm going to avoid crisis, for one. And do this day by day thing. And I've said before, learning how to drive this bipolar rocket ship, and I think after all this yammering, I'm kind of more willing to accept that it is, I can't believe I'm going to say this, an illness. Yeah. Accepting that it is an illness, and maybe I can make it less of an illness. Wait, it's an illness. End of sentence.